Welcome to today's Explainer. If you're currently wrestling with nagging aches, stiffness, or even sharp pains in your knees, I want you to know right off the bat, you are absolutely not alone. Today, we're going to dive deep into your body's mechanics. We've put together a step-by-step, comprehensive look at home exercises designed specifically for knee relief. We're drawing on some incredible insights from the experts over at Harvard Medical School to give you a safe, effective blueprint to finally reclaim your mobility.
Now, it's a completely natural reaction, right? When your knee hurts, whether it's a dull ache when you stand up or a sharp twinge climbing the stairs, your very first instinct is probably just to stop moving. It's incredibly frustrating, and there's a very real fear there that exercising or even just going about your day might cause more damage. But what if the very thing you've been avoiding is exactly what your joints are literally craving to heal?
So, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start by uncovering where knee pain actually comes from. Then, we'll look at correcting your daily walk, jumping into a crucial 10-minute warm-up, moving on to strength building, and finally, stretching for recovery. Think of this as your safe, step-by-step blueprint to reduce pain and get your balance back.
All right, let's jump right into part 1, the true origins of your knee pain. To really fix the issue, we've got to look past the symptoms and understand the core mechanics of your entire lower body.
Before we get into any physical activity, though, your safety is paramount. Please skip the home exercises and see a doctor right away if you're experiencing a fever with your joint pain, if the pain just isn't improving, if it actually gets worse when you move, or, and this is a big one, if it wakes you up in the middle of the night. If you don't have those warning signs, though, we're good to proceed. Dr. Lauren Elson from Harvard Medical School calls the knee an innocent bystander. I just love this framing. Picture your leg as a 3D architectural structure. Your knee is basically a hinge stuck right in the middle. It ends up taking all the punishment when there's weakness above it, like in your hips, or below it, down in your feet. Think of strong hip and leg muscles like a sturdy scaffolding protecting a really delicate structure. When your hips are weak, they lose their ability to act as shock absorbers. This weakness literally stops your kneecap from gliding smoothly in its track when you bend your leg. The result? Unnecessary friction, inflammation, and intense pain right at the knee, even though the root cause is actually those weak hips. Moving on to part 2, let's talk about correcting your walk. Often, when our knees hurt, we unconsciously change our daily habits to compensate. We alter how we walk, and ironically, this usually makes things so much worse. Physical therapists constantly see people with knee pain shuffling or favoring one leg, which totally throws off their natural movement. A safe walk actually relies on very specific mechanics. First, your heel needs to hit the ground first with your toes pointing up. Second, you want to spend a beat in that mid-stance position to safely transfer your weight. And finally, push off through the ball of your foot. Imagine you're smoothly rolling your foot to squish a bug on the pavement. But the feet are really only half the story here. Aligning your upper body properly directly stabilizes those knees. So pull your navel in towards your spine to engage your core. Keep your back nice and straight, and literally stack your ears right over your shoulders and your shoulders right over your hips. Getting this posture right is way more important than how fast you walk.
Okay, part 3, the 10-minute warm-up. This is an absolutely critical first step. Skipping this can actually lead to even more joint stiffness and worse injuries down the line.
You might have heard the phrase, motion is lotion. Well, it is spot on. Your knee cartilage requires a gentle loading force to stay healthy and lubricated. A quick 10-minute warm-up gets your blood pumping, sending vital oxygen straight to those tissues. It acts as that necessary lotion, gently stretching the joints so they can safely handle a wider range of motion. The best part? You don't need any fancy equipment at all. Just march in place in your living room for a few minutes. Let your arms swing back and forth naturally. Gradually bump up the pace just enough to get your heart rate up a bit. This alternating leg movement perfectly engages those crucial hip flexors and glute muscles we talked about earlier.
All right, part 4, strength building. Now that your joints are nice and lubricated, let's look at the core exercises designed to build that essential muscular scaffolding around your knee.
Let's start with this side leg raise. This directly targets your incredibly important hip abductor muscles.
Form is everything here. Lie on your side with your legs completely straight. You want to keep your hips totally still, kind of like you're lying flat against a wall. Tighten your core and don't let your pelvis rock back and forth. Then, slowly lift that top leg up toward the ceiling. Remember, slow and controlled is always better than rushing.
If lying on the floor without support feels unsteady, here's a fantastic senior-friendly modification. Simply lean your back right against a wall to help you balance. Or just don't lift your leg quite as high. You're not losing any of the exercise's benefits by modifying it to keep yourself safe. Support is a tool, not a weakness.
The key is fortifying the joint from all sides, which brings us to the single leg lift. This one targets your quadriceps, that big muscle on the front of your thigh that directly supports the kneecap. Lie flat on your back, extend one leg with your foot slightly flexed. Tighten up that thigh muscle, exhale, and slowly lift your leg into the air until your knees are perfectly parallel. Hold it for a beat, then lower it slowly.
Once again, good form takes priority over everything. The standard way is to lift until your knees are perfectly aligned. But if your mobility makes that tough, just use the easier modification. Lift your leg a shorter distance. The goal is just to maintain strict control and keep your hips planted firmly on the floor.
Finally, part 5, stretching for recovery. We've built the scaffolding, now we need to restore elasticity. Tight leg muscles are literally like overstretched rubber bands. They pull excessively on your sore knee tendons. Stretching is going to release all that pent-up pressure.
First up is the hamstring stretch. Lie on your back and grab behind your right thigh with both hands. Slowly extend your leg, lifting your foot up toward the ceiling. Now, listen closely. You only want to straighten the leg until you feel a mild tension. Do not lock your knee, and actually, never ever push yourself into pain. This should just be a gentle, relaxing release. For a lot of folks, holding that leg up comfortably can be a bit of a challenge. So here's a brilliant modification. Grab a yoga strap, a belt, or honestly, even a dog leash. Loop it around your foot and use it to gently support your leg instead of straining your arms. Or simply don't lift your leg as high.
Next is the quadriceps stretch to open up the front of your thigh. Stand straight and please hold onto the back of a sturdy chair for balance. Bend your knee, bringing your heel up towards your glute and reach back to grab your foot. The absolute most important detail here is to keep that bent knee pointing straight down, aligned with your hip. Don't let it flare out to the side. If standing on one leg makes you feel like you might fall, there's a totally safe way to do this lying down. Just lie flat on your stomach, loop that strap around your foot, and gently pull your heel towards you. It completely eliminates any balance risks while still giving those tight quad muscles a fantastic stretch. As we wrap this up, I want you to remember this core rule from Harvard's Dr. Lauren Elson. It's more important to have good form than it is to have volume. That is the entire philosophy of this guide. Doing just 3 perfectly controlled reps is going to heal and protect your joints so much better than rushing through 20 sloppy ones. Just be patient with your body. And that brings us to my final question for you. You've got the blueprint now. You know that avoiding all activity might actually be starving your joints of the oxygen and lubrication they desperately need. You know how to walk properly, warm up safely, and build the scaffolding your knees are craving. So will you choose to make movement the lotion for your joints today? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and here's to reclaiming your mobility safely and confidently.